Okay, everybody, welcome back. I've got another little supplement video for us. There was some discussion about the difference between truth in things versus, truth in things versus truth in truth of propositions. Okay, so truth in things, truth of propositions. Um, so this just depends on the direction we're going. And as you see here, I've got a image of Chuck Norris. So let's say somebody says to you, Chuck Norris is a real man. All right, so let's take a look at this. Your friend is here, says to you very enthusiastically, Chuck Norris is a real man. All right. And so you're a little bit skeptical maybe, and you say, what exactly do you mean by that? So what's happened is your friend has an idea of real man, what it means to be real man, which has um, uh, which has propositions attached to it in a way. You could say, he might say, oh, well, it's because he knows how to handle guns, and he's really strong, and he's got an awesome beard, and he looks you directly in the eye. So he says, this is what it means to be a real man. And Chuck Norris um, accords with that idea. So this is obviously a weaker notion of truth, but it does have a correspondence between an idea and a thing in reality. Okay, but what we have to look at now is this idea. And you say, well, it's true that Chuck Norris is all those things, but what is man? What is man? So man really, you say, is a rational animal. Okay, so if you mean, my friend, if you mean by that Chuck Norris is a rational animal, then yes, absolutely, I agree with you. But the emphasis that is placed on real man, Chuck Norris is a real man, is loaded, and it includes other things besides the actual uh, the actual concept of man, which is rational animal. So so let's look at this from another perspective. Let me get rid of all this. So here's an image of Christ carrying the cross. This is El Greco, Christ carrying the cross. So if I were to say um, Jesus Christ is a real man. Okay. Now, this is true in a few different ways. First, in the sense of being a rational animal, yes, Jesus Christ is a rational animal. So he is a real man. This is truth in a proposition. Jesus Christ is a man. He's a rational animal. But um, if we're looking from another perspective, what is the fullness? What is the fullness of being a man? And that is a man who has achieved his ultimate good. Okay, this is a man who is the fullest extent, and that ultimate good is knowledge of God. Now Jesus Christ has that, and that is something that we can say of no other man um, that that is currently alive. So knowledge of God, no man possesses that to a greater degree than Jesus Christ. So we could say in a very strict logical scientific way, Jesus Christ is a man in the sense that he is a rational animal. But we could say he is a real man, and we could even say he is in a sense we could say he is the only real man. Um, uh, if we mean by that, if we're attaching to that the idea that he is man to the fullest extent, because he has complete actuality of all his potentiality of what he could be, um, which is perfect union with God, perfect knowledge of God. So so I hope this clarifies a bit what the difference is between truth in things, insofar as they accord with a concept in our mind, and the truth of a proposition insofar as it accords with something outside of our mind. Um, so what we strive for, and the more significant notion of truth here, is the truth in propositions. Um, and we have sort of a lesser and looser notion of truth insofar as things accord to an idea in our mind. Now, in order to communicate with anybody, um, if we're going to communicate and we're going to talk about man, uh, then we can't have concept A over here and then concept B over here and try to communicate and come up with an answer. First, we have to settle on what is man. We have to have this in common. Now, this, what is man, is not something that we just decide to, um, what we just decide what it is. Now, that is modern logic. Modern logic goes with what are called nominal definitions. The definition of anything is purely nominal. It's what I say it is. Um, and that's fine to start a conversation. You can start a conversation with a nominal definition. Aristotle gives the example of man is a, uh, what does he say? He's a man as a biped. Okay, man as two-footed. All right, so that's a start. That's something you can start with, and then you start the conversation, and you get into, well, what is the nature of man, and really the nature of man is something that is determined in things. It's something determinate. The man has a real nature, that is shared, that is common to all human beings, to all men and women who have ever existed, who exist now, and whoever will exist. That is what they have in common, is the essence of man. So if we're going to have a conversation about man, we have to agree on the essence of man.